I bought you some of your penny dreadful westerns at PX the other day. Honestly, don't know how reading this dreadful rubbish can soothe you, but why don't you try?
What time is it?
0300. Don't you think you should chase us all out? Try to get some sleep.
I can't understand why we haven't heard from the 101st. Mallory said he'd phone as soon as they made radio contact.
And what worries me is de Gaulle. Will he ask the French underground to help us?
He better. I not only put my neck in the chopping block, I promised him everything but key to the White House latrine.
Well, worrying won't help. I suggest as our contribution to the war effort, we turn in.
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
Good night. Okay.
Good night, General.
Hey. Do I have any cigarettes left?
You have one lonely camel.
Suppose it should fail.
Can't.
No. What if the weather changes and our landing boats capsize? What if the wind blows our paratroops into a panzer division? Or what if de Gaulle doesn't make that broadcast? Now, what if a dozen things I hadn't thought about happened? Now, who made the decisions? I did. Tomorrow, John Eisenhower graduates from West Point, a second lieutenant. I hope tomorrow he's still proud of his old man. If we're not off those beaches in a few days, tens of thousands of boys, just like my son, will have died.
Ike, you didn't invent war. You didn't even start this one. I will not let you take the entire blame for World War II on your shoulders. Leave some guilt for the rest of us.
Thank you, Kay. You always bring a breath of sanity into the asylum. You look tired, Kay. How do you feel?
Me? Very serene. Unbelievably happy. When I was helping to pull those poor mangled creatures from the Blitz, I remember thinking, you bastard Hitler, someday will come and get you. And now we are. And he will know that England is not France and America is not Belgium and Kay Summersby is not to be trifled with.
I learned that a long time ago.
Oh, how? When?
Well, for starters, that khaki nail polish or varnish.
Lord. That was bloody rude of me, wasn't it?
Terribly rude. And so was getting yourself torpedoed.
Well, I hadn't really planned on that, you know.
Well, I hadn't planned on getting so upset when I heard about it. I'm out of cigarettes.
No, you're not. I've been giving you my ration all along.
What time is it?
It's, 58 seconds later than when you asked me the last time.
Read this.
What is it, your last will and testament?
Almost.
Our landings in the Cherbourg Harbor area have failed to gain a satisfactory foothold. You don't know that yet.
Just read it, Kay.
And I have withdrawn the troops. My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all that bravery and devotion to duty could do. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone. Dwight David Eisenhower, Southwick, England, June 6, 1945. How noble. Burn it.
Kay, don't you ever bother to beat around the bush.
You are Ike Eisenhower, even though you don't seem to know what that means yet. You've done everything you could do.
Kay, thank you for being here. For everything. I can't say things the way I'd like to. Don't expect it from me.
Goodness. I didn't even expect you to say that you couldn't say them. Do you know how much I want this to go right for you? So much. I don't even care that when this war is over, you will shake my hand. Just as you shook the hands of so many of those brave lads today and sent me off, as you said then. Good night, General. I'm going to bed now. There's nothing further I can do about your tomorrow. Or mine.
This is the British Broadcasting Corporation. Here is a news bulletin. Radio Berlin has just announced that Allied paratroops are landing in great force on the continent of Europe. We switch you now to our London studios.
This is the overseas service of the BBC broadcasting to the people of France.
Ici Londres, TSF de la BBC. Citoyen de la France, le général Charles de Gaulle.
Français, la bataille suprême est engagée.
The supreme battle has begun. After so much fighting, so much fury, so much suffering, here at last is the decisive blow. I ask you to give your help to the brave soldiers of our good friends, the English, the Americans, down with the Germans.
Vive la France!
Prime Minister. I wish to announce that during the night and the early hours of this morning, the first of a series of landings in ports upon the European continent has taken place. In this case, the liberating assault fell upon the coast of France. So far, the commanders who are engaged report that everything is going according to plan. And what a plan! This tremendous operation is undoubtedly the most complicated and difficult that has ever been attempted in the vast history of warfare.
His Majesty the King will speak to his people at home and our allies are sure that our fight is against evil and for a world in which goodness and honor may be the foundation of the rights of men in every land.
This is Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Forces. General Dwight D. Eisenhower.
People of Western Europe, a landing was made this morning on the coast of France by troops of the Allied Expeditionary Forces. This landing is part of a concerted United Nations plan for the liberation of Europe, made in conjunction with our great Russian allies. I call upon all who love freedom to stand with us now. Together, we shall achieve victory.
Gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, last night when I spoke with you about the fall of Rome, I knew at that moment the troops of the United States and our allies were crossing the Channel in another and greater operation. It has come to pass with success thus far. And so, in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor. The darkness will be rent by noise and flame. Men's souls will be shaken with the violences of war. They yearn but for the end of battle, for their return to the haven of home. Some will never return. Embrace these, Father, and receive them, thy heroic servant, into thy kingdom. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen.
For me to go to sleep. How's it going?
It's going better than we expected, Kay.
Yes?
Every outfit is ashore. The Germans were completely fooled.
Oh.
I mean, we surprised them.
Oh.
They're still broadcasting we landed at the Pas de Calais instead of Normandy, where we actually hit them.
Oh. And?
Casualties are light. I mean light, a couple of thousand.
Oh, wonderful. It's not for those poor chaps who bought it, but Ike was worried we'd lose 20 times that many. What about the 101st Airborne?
No word yet.
Why are you so gloomy, for heaven's sakes? We're ashore, Tex. We're ashore in France.
Kay, someday I'm going to have kids. And they're going to ask Daddy what he did on D-Day. Now I'll have to tell them.
Ah.
These 2 fingers. I typed up the general's requisition for more toilet tissue.
Of course. How stupid of me. Why is it that all men who are totally unsuited for war want so desperately to get themselves killed?
That's a hell of a lot better than a Purple Heart for getting your thumb caught in a mimeograph
Well, I
machine.
won't listen to your pessimism on such an historic morning. Look at this glorious sunshine. I must go in and congratulate Ike on his weather.
Kay?
He doesn't belong to you. Use an old line, he now belongs to the world.
My dear Colonel Lee, you've missed the entire point. I belong to him.
Thank you. Thank you. That was Lee Mallory. Boys of the 101st, mate.
Oh.
So did the rest of the airborne. Wasn't perfect, but they're fighting their way through.
The French are with...
Ike, you must be so proud of them and of yourself.
I'm so happy I could cry. For all of them. For all of us. On top of it all, Rome has finally fallen. It's no longer the end of the beginning. It's the beginning of the end.
You're quite right. beginning of the end.
Germany calling. Hello, London. Lord Haw here, speaking to you from Berlin, just 1 week after your costly assault on the coast of France. I'm sure you've all heard the good news by now. Our Führer, Adolf Hitler, has been promising you some secret weapons for a long time. But unlike the bloated aristocrat Churchill and the Jew Roosevelt, his promises are always kept. I know how thrilled you must be to watch the first of our bombs arriving in London without warning. What a lovely surprise on a fine June evening. It does no good to shoot them down. They have no pilots. And you can't tell where they're going to land because we really don't know ourselves. All we know is they'll land on you. They're a barrel of laughs, London. Roll out the barrel, we'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel, we've got the blues on the run. Zing, boom, tararrel, we'll have a day of good cheer. Now's the time to roll the barrel, all the gang go here. Get down,
Now, Monty insists he can't move. His troops are still stalled in front of Caen.
They were supposed to take Caen on D-Day. That was 2 weeks ago.
Remember how cocky Monty was? Maybe pushing inland 30 miles the very first day. British tanks knock about a bit.
We're the ones who get knocked about. Casualties are heavier by the hour. 20,000 dead, the last report.
Things aren't any better for Bradley's troops near Omaha Beach. They're stymied by German tanks and guns.
Brad doesn't think Cherbourg soon will be shoved off the continent. Nazis will have their second Dunkirk.
But this time there may be no coming back.
We need a port to land our supplies. Our artificial harbors are being capsized by the storms. And those buzz bombs are killing civilians all over London.
But by the way, Ike, intelligence reports the Nazis have developed a much worse weapon. A B-2 rocket. Maybe 10 times the TNT of the buzz bomb.
If that's true, they'll flatten all of London in a few weeks.
It's true. Be worse than the Blitz. Casualties in the hundreds of thousands.
You really think Hitler would use weapons like that against civilians?
You really think he wouldn't?
Mickey, hold that frame. Beetle, tell Montgomery I'll be at his headquarters in the morning. And tell Bradley I'll be on Omaha Beach tomorrow afternoon. Tell them both I'm going to ask some questions, and they better have some damn good answers.
General Eisenhower, General Montgomery ordered me to give you a hearty welcome on behalf of His Majesty's forces.
Freddie, where in the hell is Monty?
Called away, unfortunately.
Well, he knew I was coming.
He was merely following your orders not to let your visit keep him from his military duties.
Well, he's absolutely right. When do you expect him to return?
Well, I suspect he'll be along shortly. In the meantime, would you care to inspect our orchard?
Let's get on to Bradley. There are no orchards at Omaha Beach. Yes, sir.
Hi, Cowboy. Sorry to detain you.
Hello, Monty. You timed that entrance beautiful.
Thank you. I knew you'd appreciate it. You do it so well yourself.
Talk privately. I've got a lot to say.
I'm afraid headquarters tend somewhat crowded. Supposing we walk into the orchard. Just be careful of the cow droppings.
I don't need a warning. I've had conversations with you before.
Quite so.
Colonel Lee, in spite of what you may have heard, General Montgomery has a very high opinion of General Eisenhower.
From
what I've heard, General Montgomery has a very high opinion of General Montgomery. He's going to need it.
Don't give me any excuses. This is a stalemate. You've been sitting here without moving for over a week.
The Germans are blocking this front with everything they've got. Artillery, tanks, infantry. Now look here, Ike. I'm simply not going to attack until I have enough men to be certain of victory.
You want to steal some from Bradley?
Why not? He doesn't know what to do with them. Talk about stalemate. I visited his sector. He scarcely moved off the beach. Bradley should sit tight, shut up, and be given only enough supplies for his bare subsistence. He has no reserves behind the front. Morale is low. Why, his officers were delighted when I issued some firm orders.
What did Bradley do? Kiss the hem of your garment?
Oh, he would have done, old boy, but I was walking on water at the time. Now, what I propose is that you give me complete and permanent command of all Allied ground forces in France. Then I can concentrate the main force on this front and drive straight for Berlin.
That's not the battle plan, and you know it.
Well, it should be.
Well, what do you want, my hat, too?
Sorry, old boy, it's too small.
Monty, the worst thing that can happen to an amphibious force is to get stalled. That's what's happened to us. Now, you're supposed to be halfway through Belgium now, not sitting here waiting for my job.
Sorry, old boy, but you know I don't allow smoking at my headquarters.
Well, sorry, old boy, I do at mine. Still taking a lot of casualties.
I think we've tried to break out time and again. The Nazis are hanging on to Cherbourg like it was Berlin.
What's holding up your advance, Brad?
Everything. Men, weapons, Rommel.
Monty thinks you ought to be removed.
I know. He came around here one day like the Lord come to clean the temple. Started giving orders to some of my officers.
You think he's right?
Well, if he was, you've known me long enough to know that I'd be the first to let you know. Now, we've underestimated the German strength. And we should have taken Cherbourg by the 5th day. Instead, it'll be closer to the 50th.
We don't have that much time. London is going under from the buzz bombs. You've got to break out now. You've got to get George Patton and his 3rd Army tanks on the road to Germany. You've got to knock out the launching pads, or else we're going to lose London.
Why don't we get money to take some of the risks, too? Take some of the pressure off this front.
I will. I've got to get both of you more men and weapons, or this is the beginning of a different kind of end that I never imagined.
Well, it's going to take a while, Ike. Look at the channel today. According to our meteorologist, that wind is the edge of a gale that's going to hit this coast. Worst storm in 20 years. And it's due to hit right in the channel tomorrow morning. We're not going to be able to unload one damn ship. We may lose a few.
Tomorrow would have been the date of the invasion if I'd called it off for June 6th. And Rommel would have been standing here instead of us, waiting.
Hear those sirens? You better get out to the shelter. Take everybody else with you. It's the buzz bombs.
I'm not going to hide every time I hear one of those German sausages.
What? A lot of meat in those sausages. At least a ton of TNT.
Well, go ahead, because I can't afford to spend half my time in a storm cellar.
Well, you know damn well I'm not going to go if you're not.
Look at you two trying to outbrave each other. If you'd been through as many bombings as I have, you wouldn't stand
ready,
around.
General. Well, who can eat now?
I can't, because there's no point getting in a panic just because it's a buzz bomb.
Please hurry. They may be zeroed in on this area. Mickey, Mooney,
See you there.
on the double. Ike, you're not immortal. You and Dick tramping through your stupid minefields.
All right, Kay.
Here comes another one. Step on it. Let's go. Inside. Let's go. Inside.
Oh, damn.
You all right?
What's my ankle? Oh, I'm so fed up with this filthy war.
Here comes one.
Killing me.
Make sure you get your can, a glass of water.
He's not your water boy, he's the colonel. Oh.
You are upset.
Oh.
This may last a while. I'll enjoy you some rest. Sorry about dinner, Mickey.
Cake fell anyway, sir.
Here,
I think I better give it to her through channels.
Oh.
Thank you, Colonel. Did I do that all right?
I'm sorry to have been so unmilitary, but I couldn't help it.
It's all right, kid.
No, it isn't. Just childish. But you see, during the Blitz, you could do something. You could shoot his stupid out from under him or whatever. But those things, they just have a little German engine sputtering away inside. If you do knock one down, it simply explodes and kills you. And if you don't, it switches itself off. And then there's that dreadful silence before it kills you anyway. I don't think I'll mind dying too awfully much, but I would hate to be killed by a thing.
You'll never die, Kay. I have a feeling if all of England were wiped away, you'd still be standing on the beach at Dover, daring that bastard Hitler to come over. So you could spit in his eye.
I would, too.
Colonel Lee.
Yes, General Eisenhower.
You're leaving for Washington tomorrow.
I am?
This war isn't over by a long shot. We need more of everything and fast. And Washington's got to be made to believe it. I want you to tell General Marshall exactly how I feel. Yes, sir. You're going too, Kay.
What? Now, why would I want to go to the colonies?
They're not the colonies. They're the United States of America, and it's time you found that out. I want you to take a rest. You've earned it. You need it badly.
I don't need anything but to go on being here with you.
I want you to go, Kay. I want you to stuff yourself with all the unrationed food you can eat. Sleep till noon if you want to. No more bombs in a war.
That's hardly possible.
Kay, I've leaned on you long enough. Now lean on me a bit. I want to get you out of the war zone. Now please go.
If I go, who will hold your cigarettes for you?
Shut up and be grateful, Kay.
Is that an order, General?
Damn right.
That's the Washington Monument, dedicated to the American general. You remember him. He's the one who beat the pants off the British Army with a little ragtag group of boys.
Tex, please take me back to my hotel.
Well, that wouldn't be very polite. Mrs. Eisenhower was careful to point out the invitation was to both of us.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't like cocktail parties.
Oh, come on, Jane.
It would be all right if I felt terribly guilty. I could brazen it out.
Well, there's nothing to it. Just give him a big smile.
Easy for you to say. You're just the escort. I'm the prize exhibit.
I think this is the first time I've ever seen you scared. You are, aren't you?
I'm afraid I'll be terrified of Mamie. I don't think I've done anything awful enough to feel that way, but I'm still scared. All I want to do right now is bolt for it.
The worst thing you can do for Ike right now is to run and hide. It'll only encourage a lot of vicious talk in this town. This town is built on vicious talk.
Oh, I can't. I can't. I guess my hopeless romance can't survive reality for a moment.
Okay, you're crying, you know? I mean, I hate women who cry.
And I hate men from Indiana who call themselves Tex.
You care that much?
I'll go. I couldn't not. But if I'm shot down over a liver canapé, you will bind my wounds, won't you?
I don't know. It might be kinder to let you bleed to death.
Why didn't you just help yourself, dear?
Oh, well, Mrs. Eisenhower, I'm trying to recover from the shock. All this extraordinary food. And cream, real cream from real cows, I suppose.
Well, yes, I believe the Wardman Park Hotel deals in authentic cream.
You want to try some shrimp? They've got crab meat here, too. Oh, here. Especially barbecued ribs. Now, as a Texan from Indiana, I speak with authority.
Oh, it's pastry. I cannot believe. I'm certain I'll discover I've died and gone to heaven where none of this is fattening.
Excuse me for a minute.
Oh, I'm totally disheartened. She's a lovely woman. I can't even find anything to dislike.
I have confidence in you. You'll manage.
Miss Summersby.
I'm Helen Westerfield. I told everyone I simply must meet Ike's lady driver. You are his driver, aren't you?
Yes, I'm also the General Secretary.
Oh, how convenient. You may know my husband, General Paul Westerfield. He has a command under Mark Clark in Italy.
Yes, I've heard General Eisenhower speak of your husband quite often, Mrs. Westerfield.
Well, we certainly talk of you quite a lot. There's so much to talk about. How nice.
Kay, why don't we go get a drink?
I dare say you'll soon be writing it on the lavatory walls, won't you?
A martini?
It may interest you to know that my husband is a major general in the regular army, while Dwight Eisenhower, although a charming, intelligent man, still holds the permanent rank of only chicken colonel.
Indeed. The Italian campaign has gone dreadfully slowly, hasn't it? I've heard your husband's name mentioned around Supreme Headquarters as the chicken general.
A double martini?
Shut up, Tex.
My dear Miss Summersby, if I were Mamie, I'd throw you right out of here. Good night.
That bloody cow. I need a cigarette.
Come on, I better take you back to the hotel.
Oh, don't you dare. Fireworks are just beginning.
Kay, that will not do any good. You've seen Ike's world now. Do you think you could fit into it? Would you want to?
It was a hopeless little romance, wasn't it? All on my side, too. She is a lovely woman, Mamie. And so right for him. I loathe being a good sport about Ike, but I suppose I must be. I'll simply fade away. But what hurts most is that he'll probably be too busy to notice.
Want me to put it in military jargon or have it typed up the way it is?
Just read it back to me.
For General Marshall, eyes only. We're to hell and gone in Brittany and slicing them up in Normandy. American troops under Bradley and Patton have broken through on 2 fronts and are on their way to Germany.
I almost mentioned my bet with Churchill that the war will be over by Christmas.
Still put it in.
No, it's going so well, why tempt fate?
Oh, superstitious, you?
Maybe, but so is Winnie. That's why he bet me. Go ahead.
We've destroyed all bridges over the Seine and are moving toward Paris. I'm setting up my forward headquarters tomorrow in France at Tournai. I recommend Bradley for permanent Major General. We can't do anything for Patton. He's run off the end of the tactical maps, and I can't keep up with him. He's using Michelin road maps.
What do you think, Beetle?
About redoing it? No, I'd leave it the way it is. The reality comes through. Besides, with military jargon, the end of the world had come across as a requisition for paper clips. Pre-bent, size standard, box contained in. Daily Courier?
No, send it special. Thanks.
Welcome back from Washington, Colonel Lee.
Thank you, Mickey. It's a relief to get out of the combat zone and back here to safety.
Hello, Kay.
Hello.
Telek, you old son of a gun. Come here, bro.
Any juicy gossip while we've been away?
Well, there's been a lot of loose talk about me and a corporal in the wax. You know, all of it true. We're going to be married.
Married? Oh, that's lovely, Mickey. I do mean it, really. Lovely.
Come in. Tell us, you old Scotch son of a gun, where did you come from?
He's been a prisoner of war for 6 months. I was sure no one but me remembered that his sentence was up today. Tex and I picked him up on the way back from the airport. After Washington, it was so nice to see a friendly face.
Mr. Kay, worried about you.
About me? Well, I've been in the land of real milk and real honey. But I was worried about you. Coming back, we heard that one of those awful V2s landed near here.
Just a chance hit.
Yes. That's what makes it so awful. And with all those dreadful bombs falling all over London, my old unit needs drivers desperately. I've applied for transfer back.
What's that all about? I need a driver, too.
Well, I'm sure you can find another to shout at.
What do I need another driver to shout at for? Now, why, Kay, so suddenly? Did something happen in the States?
Didn't you expect it to?
Kay, what are you talking about?
It's really very strange. I'm not out of love, but the thought of being without you doesn't hurt quite so much anymore.
Kay. Yes. Tell him he'll have to wait. Now, Kay, how many times do I have to tell you that I need you?
2 or 3 dozen more would help. Why the devil did you send me away? Why did you have to ship me to the colonies and throw me to the savages? For once, I got a good look at what will become of me after this war. 1,000 Helen Westerfields pointing their fingers at me.
Are you going to let some Washington, D.C. gossip drive you away?
All right, then. If you want me to stay around in spite of that, then you must give me something tangible to hold on to, some proof.
What proof do you want?
I don't know. I don't know. But do something. Face the same reality I have to face. I was the one on the firing line.
Kay, will you listen to me for a moment? Now, I have something to tell you.
Oh, and for God's sake, don't try to say anything sweet.
Well, you know I don't know how. Maybe this will say it for me. I've arranged for you to join the American Army.
Oh, good Lord, right in character. The tank corps, I suppose. How romantic.
Okay. You're going to be commissioned a lieutenant in the wax, so you can stay with me till the end of this war.
You know very well I refuse to join the American Army.
Without giving up 1 iota of your precious British citizenship.
Join the American Army and still remain a British subject. I believe that's impossible, General.
Well, nothing's impossible if it's by order of the President of the United States. You'll be the only member of the United States Women's Army Corps in history who still owes allegiance to a foreign flag.
I do not consider the flag of the British Empire to be foreign.
Well, the president didn't mean it that way, and neither do I.
Ike, what will people say?
In the immortal words of Rhett Butler, frankly, Lieutenant Summersby, I don't give a damn.
The City of Light, free once more. On August 22nd, under General Eisenhower's orders, General de Gaulle's Free French forces were allowed to be the first to enter Paris.
I told Ike not to let the Free French tanks in first. Charles de Gaulle naturally took all the credit.
And don't you think he deserved it, Mr. President?
That was for the French nation to decide.
American and Allied forces joining the fighting, and soon Paris was liberated. Then followed a demonstration of happiness and tears, perhaps unequaled in this or any war. General Eisenhower ordered the U.S. 28th Division on its way to battle north of Paris to detour in full battle dress down the Champs-Élysées so they could join the parade in de Gaulle's honor before entering the attack in progress against the German army. American combat troops marching in tribute were a proof of the solidarity between the United States and Charles de Gaulle that has guaranteed his position as the sole leader of his country.
That's enough. That newsreel is being shown all over America right now. Ike has gone over my head and let de Gaulle grab control in France over my distinct opposition. Who's commander-in-chief around here?
You are, Mr. President. But Eisenhower had given his word to de Gaulle.
By what right? That was an act of rank insubordination. Don't you think Ike should be removed immediately?
Well, Mr. President, Eisenhower informed me that he was acting only because of military necessity. I would suggest that you reprimand him severely, but that's all.
That's all? A reprimand?
Yes, sir.
General Marshall, I am outraged. I am also a politician. Ike Eisenhower doesn't realize it, but he's become the GI's general and the most popular figure in the free world.
I think you're right.
I am recommending to Congress that he be given a 5th star and the title of General of the Army. I have a tough election coming up.
Mickey. Hope he knows what he's getting into.
I'll say this for him. He doesn't even look scared.
Michael, wilt thou take Frances, here present, for thy lawful wedded wife, according to the rite of our holy mother, the church?
I will.
Frances, wilt thou take Michael, here present, for thy lawful husband, according to the rite of our holy mother, the church?
I will.
I, Michael.
I, Michael.
Take thee, Frances.
Take thee, Frances.
To my wedded wife.
To my wedded wife.
To have and to hold.
To have and to hold.
Doesn't sound very good.
It gets worse. German tanks have made a slight penetration of our lines in Belgium, 20 miles from the German border.
We're supposed to be penetrating their lines.
For heaven's sakes, don't muck up Mickey's wedding.
And in health.
I'll have to call a meeting. Tell her, Bradley and Patton, got the Nazis on the ropes. Get them off, not now.
I'd say Bradley and the others are too busy at the front to come here.
They don't have to come here. I'll go to them.
Nummer 1, anfahren! Anfahren, geradeaus! Nummer 1 ist wenig! Die jetzt 2 und 4 1 auf der linken Seite, 9 Uhr! Einbiegen! Einbiegen! trouble, Charlie. They're breaking through. We need air support. Air support. Charlie, David Baker. Take it over there. Take it over there. Fine leap over and out. Dog easy. Dog easy. Where the hell the Krauts get all those things? We're pulling back. Pulling back. Over.
Ike, I've never seen such confusion. The Nazis are using U.S. equipment and uniforms. They got a hold of a bunch of Krauts, probably escaped from Brooklyn, speaking perfect English.
Who speaks perfect English in Brooklyn?
Oh, you know what I mean. Hell, they're cutting telephone lines and turning signs around, spooking whole divisions, shoving a bulge into our line.
Yes, that's what the newspaper chaps already started to call it, the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah, this is no penty-ante game, Ike. And Hitler's throwing all of his panzer divisions into the pot. All of them.
Brad, well, I can't give you an exact picture. My communications are shattered. Whole units have been wiped out. They've driven a wedge between the 8th and 9th Armies. Over 100,000 men are cut off from here.
Arthur, no, flying conditions are simply impossible. Nothing can get off the ground in this weather. Feel bloody helpless. This is no time to feel helpless. It's time to attack.
We've got to stabilize our lines first. Saint-Denis, Bastogne, maybe half a dozen other pockets with cut-off units. They might not be able to hold out.
Well, damn it, they'll have to hold out. Maybe we should have figured Hitler would try an insane gamble like this. Maybe I should have figured. Now that he's done it, let's take advantage of it. Now, Hitler has opened the door for us to Germany. He's thrown his only reserves out in the open. Now, if we strike back, this could be the last big battle of the war.
You're damn right, Ike. You give me back the supplies and the gasoline you gave Montgomery, and Third Army will beat their Nazi tails off.
Thank you, George. I can always depend on you for the calm, reasonable approach. Brad, you've got to hit with whatever you got left. But your 8th and 9th Armies must go to Montgomery.
I'll never get them back, Ike.
Dead or alive.
Knock it off. This is an Allied operation. Now, Arthur, somehow, someway, you've got to get planes up in this soup. Now, the key to it all is right here in Bastogne. It controls all the major roads in central Belgium. We must hold on to this at all costs.
The 101st Airborne's trying to hold it, but, you know, Ike, the Germans have got them completely surrounded. They can't hang on much longer.
I know. That's where you come in, George.
Ike, Bastogne is 130 miles from here. I mean, that's one hell of a long hike. You give me air support, and I'll get through to them.
No, they won't have anything in the air for at least 48 hours.
It's too late. You're going to have to do it without air support, George. You're going to have to force march your men and send them into battle. Without food, maybe without sleep. Now, will they do it for you?
Yeah, Third Army will do it. They hate my guts, but they'll do it. They know I'm a son of a bitch, but at least I'm their son of a bitch.
You're mine too, George.
I know, Ike. This is the one I owe you. Sir, this just in from Bastogne. German commander has informed General McCullough that the 101st Airborne is completely surrounded and asked for his unconditional surrender.
What did he say?
General McCullough told him, nuts, sir.
Nuts? He actually told the German commander nuts.
Yes, sir.
That officer has to be saved. I'm going to have him write all my speeches from now on. All right, move out!
What the hell's the password? Okay, Smith, turn it off. Who are you? 101st Airborne. Where the hell you been?
It's 101st. And now the world will think that Ike's a genius.
Monty says British saving U.S. troops from disaster. That damn Monty. He's gonna get a Christmas present he doesn't expect. Me. Is the weather all right to fly to his headquarters?
Hassled, Belgium? Not a chance. Everything's still grounded.
And get that fancy private train ready. I'm not staying here one more minute.
Now, Ike, you can't leave here day or night.
Because of some stupid rumor that crowds are trying to assassinate me? Well, to hell with that. Monty is the only person trying to slit my throat. Come in.
Ike, radio message just came in for you from 101st headquarters in Bastogne. It says just Merry Christmas, and it's signed Crybaby.
Patton's made it. Whoever would have thought blood and guts would turn out to be a Santa Claus?
What about Monty, Ike? Should we forget it?
Well, hell no, he'll take credit for this, too. Just find out about that train.
Ike, you know you're not supposed to leave this hotel.
You've been seeing too many Hollywood movies.
Ike, will you keep away from those windows? You know there could be sharpshooters out there.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Use your own judgment.
I am. I'm going to Belgium to have it out with Monty once and for all.
Now, Ike.
I don't care if the Germans send Frankenstein himself to knock me off. Now find out about that train.
Yes, General.
Kay, let's get a breath of fresh air. I've been cooped up in here for 2 days because of these rumors.
Ike, please don't go outside. It really is too dangerous.
Don't you want your present? Good to smell fresh air. Well, we're gonna smash him this time, Kay. I'm not gonna let Monty muck it up.
At least you've learned one British word. I'll give you my diamond tiara so we can get back inside quickly.
Not diamonds for you, Kay. Not ever. Not in your character.
Well, I think they're in my character. It's yours they're not in.
I heard from Roosevelt last week. I'm getting my 5th star.
5 stars?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Like Wellington.
Like Marshall.
Well, if you want to be provincial about it, you've certainly earned it.
So have you.
Oh, what are they?
The only ones in the world. Kay, you no longer to drive my car. You no longer to type my letters badly. You are now officially Lieutenant Summersby, Major General of the Army, Eisenhower, entitled to wear his 5 stars yourself. The first woman in history to be a 5-star aide, if history interests you. Merry Christmas, Kay.
They're not diamonds, but they'll do. That must certainly beautifully do.
I only wish to God.
I know. I know.
Oh, show your ID, sir. You know very well who I am. If you don't, you should be court-martialed. I suppose this is a show put on to me by Ike.
Sir, I must have identification.
Better show me your papers, General. The Americans are afraid the Germans are trying to assassinate Ike.
The Germans would never do that. They still want to win.
Hello, Monty. Come right in.
Step into my parlor.
Take it any way you like.
It's to be open battle. I prefer no witnesses. Do you agree, General?
I'm not going to say anything in front of these officers they shouldn't hear.
Well, I might. You'll excuse us, General Smith.
Would you wait outside, Beetle?
Right, General.
After you, General.
Giving odds, old boy?
Abilene by 40 points.
The German attack run out of gas. That's not just a metaphor, it's a fact. Battle of the Bulge is over. Now, what we now need is some unity so we can finish this damn war.
I couldn't agree more. Give me complete command and you can have both. Unity and victory.
I don't see the need for a change. The same command that took us this far can take us all the way.
You mean the same American generals who were surprised and outmaneuvered in this battle? I'll be brutally frank. General Bradley should be removed immediately.
I'll be brutally frank. He won't be.
That's foolish. You need a commander of proven abilities to run the advance into Germany for you.
I don't need anybody to lead any advance for me. That's supposed to be my job.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? You have made rather a botch of it, haven't you? Confusion, delay, division.
Monty, this is not solving anything. Now, what I need to win this war is for us to work together.
What you need is a single, massive, swift assault across the German border, which I will be happy to lead.
Your assault is so swift. No one's been able to see it for these past few days. You haven't moved 1 inch toward the border.
When I'm ready, I will move.
No. You'll move when I'm ready, and I'm ready now. Now, if you don't want to do it, or if you think I'm wrong, then by God, there isn't room enough for both of us in this command.
For once, you may be right.
I've drafted a cable to the combined chiefs. This tug of war must end. Either they fire you, or they fire me.
Does the
There is simply no way to describe what I have just seen. Around us pressed an evil-smelling mob of men and boys who reached out to touch us, generals and newsmen alike. They were dressed in rags and the remnants of uniforms. They were too weak to cheer. But even those who would soon be liberated by death were smiling at us with their eyes. We proceeded on to a yard where bodies were arranged in rows, sometimes in rags, sometimes naked. They were thin and very white. It appeared that most of the men and boys had died of starvation. Over in the green fields beyond, well-fed Germans were calmly plowing their fields for the spring planting. We looked then at the butcher hooks on which inmates were hung as punishment for being alive. If your stomachs have been turned by this rather mild description, it's all right. It's time for the world to know the truth about the Nazis.
In 2 hours, I want every German in this town, starting with the Burgermeister, to march to this camp. No one is to turn his face. And everyone had said they didn't know. It made me ashamed my name is Eisenhower. Sure, everything you've seen, everything you've heard, spread over your newspapers. I want America to know. Lieutenant, what are you doing here?
I was listening to the BBC, and President Roosevelt died last night. At Warm Springs in Georgia.
Damn.
It isn't fair, is it?
If I'd have done a better job, the Nazis would have surrendered in time for him to see it. But at least he didn't have to see this.
He used to call me child. I never told him, but I always thought of him as father.
I know what you mean.
And so the final blows have come from the air. Gigantic daylight Allied bombing raids, turning the railroads and factories of Germany into smoking rubble. American and Russian troops meeting and shaking hands at the River Elbe. And now the Russians have smashed into Berlin itself. Erwin Rommel has taken poison. Hitler has blown his brains out in his bunker in Berlin. Admiral Donitz has taken over the German government and sent General Alfred Jodl to negotiate a surrender with General Eisenhower.
General Jodl says German communications are in bad shape and he requests a 2-day delay before signing the surrender.
Why?
Well, they're stalling, so they can shift more of their troops to the west and surrender to us instead of the Russians. Nazis are scared to death of them.
Well, they should be. They've murdered millions of Russian civilians.
But if we allow the Nazis to dictate where and how they'll surrender, they'll never admit they were completely beaten. No deal.
What do you want me to tell General Jodl?
You tell Jodl But unless he surrenders immediately, I'm closing the western front to German soldiers. And they'll all have to surrender to the tender mercies of Marshal Zhukov and the Red Army.
If Jodl agrees to sign immediately, will you be present?
No, not until after he's signed. Then bring him to my office. I don't intend to speak to one Nazi officer until they admit total defeat on German soil.
I want to say a word. Mit dieser Unterschrift
with this signature,
werden das deutsche Volk und die deutschen Streitkräfte
the German people and the German armed forces
auf Gedeih und Verderb dem Sieger ausgeliefert.
are, for better or for worse, delivered into the victor's hands.
In diesem Krieg, der mehr als 5 Jahre gedauert hat,
In this war, which has lasted more than 5 years,
haben beide wohl mehr geleistet und erlitten als irgendein anderes Volk in der Welt.
both have achieved and suffered more than perhaps any other people in the world.
In dieser Stunde kann ich nur der Hoffnung Ausdruck geben, dass die Sieger sie mit Großmut behandeln.
In this hour, I can only express the hope that the victor will treat them with generosity.
Oh my God, first. Come on. Sit in here and look fierce. Remember your proud Scots heritage.
General Eisenhower, this is General Suslopichov and his Russian interpreters.
You understand the terms of the document of surrender you just signed?
Verstehen Sie die Bedingungen der Kapitulation zur Kunde, die Sie soeben unterzeichnet haben?
Ja, ja.
You will be held officially and personally responsible.
Sie werden offiziell und persönlich verantwortlich gehalten werden,
if the terms of this surrender are violated.
Sofern die Bedingungen dieser Kapitulation verletzt werden.
Including its provisions
einschließlich der Verfügungen
that German commanders appear in Berlin at the moment set by the Russian High Command to accomplish formal surrender to that government.
Dass deutsche Kommandore sich in Berlin zu dem Zeitpunkt zu stellen haben, der vom russischen Oberkommando festgesetzt wird.
That is all.
Das ist alles.
One at a time. We'll have time for everyone. Now, these are the pens, Ike, that were used in signing the surrender. You want to hold these up for the camera, please? How about like this?
Just a minute. Kay, I want you in on this. Come on, we started this thing together. We're finishing the same way. Okay, now.
Thank you, sir.
Mike, would you like to make a victory speech to the press?
Come on, Mike. I'm not much in the mood for that now, but I'll try. A few minutes ago in this building, Germany surrendered unconditionally its forces on land, sea, and the air. Germany has been thoroughly whipped.
Is that all?
Well, that, gentleman, is plenty.
I can think of no man more deserving than General Dwight D. Eisenhower to be granted the freedom of London. This great city that never failed for a moment in the long monotonous days and in the long nights dark that fell. His are the shoulders upon which fell some of the most awesome decisions of this terrible war's most crucial moments. I feel we should give the most cordial testimony in our heartfelt good wishes for everything that may happen to him in the future.
Mayor of this city, I present to you this sword, symbolizing our gratitude and admiration. General Eisenhower, you are now a citizen of London.
Humility must always be the portion of any man who receives a claim earned in blood of his followers and sacrifice of his friends. This feeling of humility cannot erase, of course, my great pride in being tendered the freedom of London.
Your lips are moving.
Oh, we rehearsed this for hours. If he's going to become part British, I don't want him to miss a single word.
We had been more than 2 years in war when Americans in numbers began swarming into your country. Most believed that the tales of British sacrifice had been exaggerated. All such complacencies could not endure a single casual tour through your scarred streets and avenues. We saw your women serving quietly and efficiently in almost every kind of war effort, even with flak batteries. Gradually, we grew closer together until we became true partners in war. My most cherished hope is that after Japan joins the Nazis in utter defeat, neither my country nor yours need ever again summon its sons and daughters from their peaceful pursuits to face the tragedies of battle. But a fact important for both of us to remember: neither London nor Abilene, sisters under the skin, will sell her birthright for physical safety, her liberty for mere existence.
Indeed, a great pleasure.
Right, sir.
Excuse me, General, I'm afraid you must hurry. You're due at Mansion House in 30 minutes for the luncheon the Lord Mayor's getting you.
Well, now that I'm a Londoner, I suppose it'll be fish and chips.
Well, you could do worse. Hamburger, for instance. Excuse me. Sorry.
Sorry, my slave driver says I have to run. Bye, gentlemen. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Admiral, my pleasure, sir. An honor.
Now remember, tomorrow you go back to Frankfurt, to occupation headquarters for a day. And then it's off to Paris, where they will probably give you the Champs-Élysées for your keychain. And then you fly to Washington. Alone?
Yes.
Yes. I've always known that every once in a while I very secretly let myself pretend. Oh dear, I'm a damn good soldier, but I'm not quite that good.
Kay, I don't know what to say. And even if I did, it wouldn't be enough.
Well, why don't you just say that you're sorry? That might be enough.
I am sorry, Kay. You know that.
Yes, I do know. And it helps, really, really. Oh, dear, I'm not doing this right at all, and I did so want it to come out right. Yes, I did rehearse it 1,000 times. Somehow, suddenly, it's here. Still, I don't suppose anyone ever actually suffocated under a rug. Even a very thick historical one.
I don't understand.
Oh, well, no. There's something. Someone said to me once when, nothing.
Do you have a cigarette?
Of course, yes.
Kay, if only I could...
Poor darling Ike. You don't owe me any special goodbyes.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, General. Now, no, we'd better go. There is so much more cheering to come.
What shall we do with the drunken sailors? So the saying goes. We're not tight, but we're none too bright. Great Scott, I don't suppose. We've lost our way and we've lost our play to make the thing complete. We've been and gone and lost the blooming fleet. Has anybody seen our ship? The HMS Peculiar. With 3 guns aft and another 1 fore, and they promised us a plan for the next World War. Behold the arties, sing glory, hallelujah.
We pulled our money, spent the lot.
The world forgetting, by the world forgot.
Now we haven't got a penny for the you-know-what. Has anybody seen our ship?
I'll see you again whenever spring breaks through again.
We lie heavy between, but what has been is past forgetting.
This sweet memory across the years will come to me.
Oh, my well-being in my heart will ever lie.
Just the echo of a sigh.
I'm sorry to break this up, Mrs. Eisenhower, but they tell me there are 30,000 people outside the airport waiting to see your husband.
I've waited too.
Welcome home, Eisenhower. Well, listen to that mob. You could probably be elected God this very minute.
General Marshall, I don't want to be elected anything. I'm a soldier, not a politician.
Now, listen, General, you have no right to refuse your country anything. Your life is no longer your own, remember that. I've had to fight the politicians off with sticks this past week. You can have any office you want. Only there is one question nobody's able to answer. What the hell are you, Eisenhower? A Republican or a Democrat?
I'm an American.
Watching. If you'd like to help us produce more compelling historical content like this, please like, comment below, and share this video with fellow history buffs. And of course, be sure to subscribe to help keep history happening.